Mira.
Nah, esta que no tiene cabeza, de verdad, ¿eh?
Esto es del coche blanco, es de la secreta. Una mierda esta asquerosa. Que no lo grabé más, cojones. Ah, Hey guys, welcome back. And if you are new, welcome to my channel. Here you will find everything you need to know about Spain, about visas, culture, history, language, everything you need to know about Spain. So that way when or if you decide to come to Spain, you won't be lost like I once was when I first came. So I try to share everything I can. Speaking of which, I did receive a request to make a video about how to turn a student visa into permanent residency. I am still working on that video, so hang in there. I will probably have it ready in a few days, so don't worry. So I want to talk about law enforcement in Spain. I want to share my experience and give my opinion because this is also something that people have asked me about. And before I actually get into that, I just want to talk about the three types of law enforcement because here in Spain it's a little bit different. They have three separate branches, I guess you could say. They have the National Police, the Civil Guard, and the local police. These are like basically the three main branches. Now, the autonomous communities, they may have their own specialized branch, but that's a whole different subject altogether. So I'm only going to focus on the three main branches of Spain. The differences generally between these generally are the national police. They handle things more in the city or bigger populated areas, riots, things like that. But you'll see them everywhere, all over the place. Then you have the Civil Guard. They are kind of like they have military status basically. And you'll normally find them at ports or in traffic. If you were driving on the highway or something like that, they would probably be the ones to pull you over and give you a ticket if you were speeding. And they also direct traffic. Now, other than that, you have the local police, which you'll find in smaller areas like smaller towns, smaller villages. They handle more minor incidences. Also, they may handle traffic, things of that nature. Basically, all three can give you a ticket, can send you to jail, but they are kind of like three separate branches. When I first came to Spain, I was very confused, and people had to explain to me what these differences were. But here in Fuerteventura, I see the civil guard the most because I would always drive through the island, so I would always see them on the street, pulling people over, giving tickets, or what have you. So, about first, I'll give my experience with the law enforcement in Spain. Okay. I will admit, when I first came to Spain, I was nervous around law enforcement. I was thinking, I had nothing to compare law enforcement to other than my home country, other than law enforcement in the US. I had no frame of reference. So, my experiences with law enforcement here have actually been pretty positive. And yes, I have had lots of interaction with the law enforcement here in Spain, actually more so than the US, but most of it was positive. I would say all of it was positive, but there was one incident where I did get a ticket, and I will get into that in a little bit. My first interaction with law enforcement was in Madrid, and I thought I was getting in trouble, but the officer was actually hitting on me and was asking me for my number. So that was very interesting. I said no, but that was very interesting experience. Um, I would say whenever I needed help with anything, especially when I first arrived to Spain, they were always willing to help me. One police officer, I was looking for the city hall, and I couldn't find it. My Spanish was horrible, and this is when I first moved to Madrid. This was with another officer, not the one that tried to hit on me. Um, this one, I asked him, where the city hall was, and his English was really bad. So he said, "Why don't I just take you?" And I was like, "Okay." So, so he actually drove me to the city hall, and he wanted to practice his English in the car. So, in exchange for a ride, he had English practice. So everything was pretty cool. So whenever I needed help, they were always there. I would say the law enforcement are pretty laid back, pretty chill. Sometimes a little bit too much, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words. It's like you need help, they help you. At least for me, okay? Um, Other incidences that I've had, so I've been pulled over about 5 times. Now, this is not because I was speeding or doing anything crazy. Basically, here in Fuerteventura, and I'm sure this goes in every other part of Spain, but Spanish people celebrate a lot. They have lots of parties. And if you do have a party, if there's like a big celebration, and it's the next day, they do random stops to make sure that no one is under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So it's completely random. There have been many times where I have not been pulled over, okay, because this happens a lot. You will see them usually at the roundabouts, and I know which roundabouts they're at because there's always the same ones, and they will just randomly pull people over. And I would say for me, it happened about 5 times. And each of the 5 times, I had an expired driver's license. And the first time, I didn't even know my license was expired. And I would say 4 of the 5 times, they let me go. Didn't give me a ticket, didn't get in trouble. They just told me, make sure you get a new license. That was it. But then again, one of those times I pretended to be a tourist that did not speak Spanish, and I had to put on the thickest Americanized accent I can think of to get out of it. And I struck up a conversation with them, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, so you're new to the island?" Yeah. And I was telling them, like, sí, sí, turista, turista. Yeah, it was so funny. and they were recommending me different places to go see and visit and things like that. But the time that I did get a ticket was because, again, I had expired driver's license, and they just told me, you need to get a license. And the ticket was like 500 euros. But then, if you've never gotten a ticket before, they give you a 50% discount. So it was 250. And then I still didn't get one, a driver's license, and I got pulled over one more time. And I just knew they were gonna pull me over. Like, I was driving and there was lots of traffic, and they were randomly pulling cars over, and they had this big sign that said, testing for alcohol or drugs. And I was like, oh my God, please don't pull me over. And they did. And the guy, he said, you can't be driving. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I tried to play really stupid. And he told me, he said, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from the US. And I said, I'm very nervous right now. And he said, you don't need to be nervous. We are not like the US police. That was his words. That's exactly what he told me. And he let me go. I was trying to get to the airport, which was like maybe 5 minutes away. He let me go, and he told me, just next time, get a license. I said, okay. So my opinion about law enforcement here in Spain, I don't think they're bad. Um, Although in the media sometimes they will show like them being aggressive and like police brutality, things like that. And there are Spaniards who don't like the police. They say that they abuse their power and things like that. So I'm only giving my personal opinion based on my personal experiences. I cannot speak for everyone. I cannot speak for my friends, that are Spanish or not Spanish, or that has had interaction with the police. I cannot speak for them, only for myself. Um, Generally, when I've seen videos, and I have posted some myself and on some of my videos here on YouTube, where the police were, hitting people with their sticks and things like that. I just want to say this. When I see that, I feel torn, because usually in these videos, for example, like the one I posted in one of my other videos, we're under quarantine, and there's a guy who violated the quarantine, doesn't want to go inside, putting everybody at risk, and the police have to come out and take care of this person. The person may be aggressive. Then the sticks come out. Sometimes I'm like, okay, that was a little bit too much. It was a little bit excessive. But then on the other end, I'm like, why is this person violating, the laws, the quarantine? So it's like, it's hard for me to really empathize when you're deliberately doing something where you're going to get in trouble. It's like, for me, I was driving without my license. I got a ticket. I knew, and I had to accept the consequences of what was going on. It wasn't like I was innocent. I had my driver's license, and it wasn't expired, and they still gave me a ticket for some stupid reason. No, it was very straightforward. And I've seen this too when I watch some of the news. I'm like, well, why were they even out during the quarantine? It's like, we can't leave the house. It's not an option. It's not something that you can just say, oh, I think today I'll go for a walk. No, it's either to the store or to the hospital or to the pharmacy or to your job if you can work, like at the supermarket or something like that. So sometimes, yeah, it's really hard, because then there are other cases where, and I think this was in my last video I posted, where this guy, he was outside, he had a stick, and he was breaking the police windows on their car, and all the police came to try and stop him, and they didn't use excessive force to stop this guy. In my opinion, they should have, because he was clearly dangerous and didn't care, but they handled the approach differently. So it's like, for my opinion, I think the majority of the police are fair. Do I think there are bad police officers? I mean, yeah, there's bad police officers in every country. You're always going to have those types of corrupt type of people. But in a general sense, I don't really see them as, bad or trying to brutalize people or harass people. In my personal opinion, Okay, so I need to stress that. In my personal opinion, no. So I don't have fear here of the police. I actually live very close to the police station. I pass it by every single day. My heart doesn't like, you know, accelerate. You know what I mean? So, and I feel comfortable knowing that if I ever needed help, I can go to them and ask them. There have been people who had expired visas and was scared to go to the police, and they have asked me, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, and they needed to renew it, and I was like, you need to go to the police, it's one of the steps. And they came back and tell me, oh my God, the police didn't even care, and they helped me. Yeah. So yeah. And, like I said, I have friends that have mixed feelings. I have some friends that love the police, some friends that hate the police. But that's just my opinion on law enforcement in Spain. So if you have any other questions, because that's it for this video, if you have any other questions, anything you want to know, anything about Spain, let me know. Leave it in the comment section and I will read it, comment, and probably do a video. All right. Ciao. Hasta luego.